Here we go. Welcome, everybody, to Midwest Elevation. We are so happy to be with you again on another Tuesday with our conversations to raise the collective conscious. I am your host, Renee Zukin, educator and writer, and we are here today with Elisabeth Williams, who is going to talk to us today about impact from the inside out. Let me tell you a little bit about our guest as we get going. I'm thrilled to have her here today. Elisabeth Williams is the founder of AWE-Partners, a boutique, advisory firm that connects women with their soul's purpose and where and how they're meant to serve so that they can make their authentic impact in the world. She also works closely with female entrepreneurs to align their business mission and social impact. Liz is passionate about issues affecting women and children. To this end, she has created a program called 7 Pillars of Women's Re-Powerment, which brings together women in impact circles to address the key ingredients necessary to lift women and children out of oppression. Additionally, she co-leads a group of women focused on rebalancing the feminine and masculine energies on the planet through the rise of the divine feminine. Liz holds an MBA from the Kellogg School of Management at Northwestern University and a BS in Finance from the University of Illinois at Champaign-Urbana. She is the author of The Gutsy Guide to Giving, Your Journey to Authentic Impact. And to learn more, of course, you can catch her website at awepartners.com. Welcome, Elisabeth. We are so glad to have you here, and we are so glad that we are having this conversation. I love this work that you are doing.
Oh, thank you, Renee. I'm so glad to be here, and I'm thrilled to learn more about your organization and your audience and what we can do to raise the elevation in the Midwest.
Yes.
The very flat Midwest that we live in.
The very flat Midwest, yes. Well, and so glad to have, for sure a fellow Midwesterner here. We have a lot of guests here in Midwest Elevation from really around the world. It's been amazing to talk to women from Sweden and Australia and, lots of California, West Coast and some East Coast partners. And, so wonderful to have a fellow Midwesterner here in the heartland doing the work.
Yep.
Doing the work. I love it. So tell me a little bit about, I'm so pleased we're having this conversation today because, women are givers.
Yeah.
Inherently. Well, everybody is, but we have a special place in our hearts that our work really is often dependent on helping others. Mm-hmm. And so tell me how you got to this point where you're really serving the women in business to be able to help others in a different way, not just with their work.
Yeah. So when I started AWE-Partners, my goal was to educate and empower women to give back more effectively. What I was seeing in the social impact space was a lot being done, but not all of it effective. Excuse me. And so what I knew was women could be educated to do it more effectively. Mm-hmm. And it's not difficult. It just takes a little bit more of an intentional and strategic approach to our giving. So that was the premise behind starting AWE-Partners. What I found when I went out with this was that it was female entrepreneurs that were most drawn to the work. And what they said to me, which I found fascinating, was I started my business because I wanted to give back.
Yep.
Isn't that fast? I mean, that's incredible. That's just incredible to me. And so I wanted to bolster that. And so I started working with female entrepreneurs who wanted to incorporate that giving into their business. So not just their missions were already positive, but actually how they might align themselves with a specific cause and a specific organization that they could support. And what's brilliant about it is it doesn't matter how much you have to give back yet, how successful the business is. Just by having that platform and sharing your passion about the cause and the organization amplifies your impact. It raises the impact for that organization. So you can start anytime. But the key is you want to choose something that either aligns with your business mission, maybe with your team members and your clients' interests, or your customers. And so we want to look at what is the cause that you want to be focused on, and then get you that best organization that's really implementing solutions. So
Mm.
that's how we got there.
That's beautiful. And I really love that you say, it doesn't matter how much you're making. We were just kind of talking before we hit record here that, I have big visions to be able to give back to, the youth and families in my community. But I'm just not there yet. But it really, like the work starts necessarily before the money comes in.
Absolutely. And in fact, we find that women are more successful in business when they're linked to a cause. So that there's a beautiful interplay there. So yeah, we don't want to wait until you're successful to start giving back. The other thing that to recognize is giving back doesn't just mean financially. We, particularly as female entrepreneurs, have a lot of talent to share. So the skills that allow you to be successful as an entrepreneur or in business are exactly the types of skills that a nonprofit or a social enterprise could use your assistance with. So if you're a marketing guru, lend your marketing skills. If you're a finance person, an HR person, lend those skills.
Right, right. Oh, that makes so much sense. That is just brilliant. So tell me about some of the people you've worked with recently, and what kind of, or what are you seeing that they need the most help with, or their growth?
So what I see is a couple of things. They need guidance on how to be most effective in giving, but they also want to be in community. And so that's the concept behind our impact circles. They don't want to do this alone. And in fact, what I find is they hold back. They have this desire to give. They look out at the world and they see so many challenges. They're almost paralyzed by the overwhelm. And so where I find we can provide the most guidance is to say, you don't have to be concerned about where to begin or how to begin or what it's going to take. We've got a step-by-step process that walks you through it, and we want to guide you through that. So again, don't wait. Be,
Right.
Be willing to step in and step up, and whatever level of giving you have, whether, from your time, talent, and treasure, if you can only give so much time, if you can only give so much, that's okay. We can create your personal portfolio of giving that works perfectly for you. So
yeah, and that overwhelm is big, right? I mean, there are so many challenges in the world. There are so many issues and ways that we could, have that impact or create that impact with our business.
yeah.
And so, how wonderful that they have the community and the guidance from you. I love that you said talent, treasure, and
Time, talent, and treasure. Yep.
time, talent, and treasure.
And treasure. And in fact, I've even heard it added on ties as the other one. So your network, your ability to network with others and share that. And then testimony, just what you're willing to say about that organization or that cause. So yeah, we can give in so many ways.
Yeah. Yes, I love it. So one of the things you mentioned, and I talked about in your bio, was the 7 pillars of women's Re-Powerment.
Yeah.
And this is fairly new, fairly new part of your venture. You've been in All Partners has been around for many years now.
Yeah.
And so tell me about this new venture that you're taking on.
Absolutely. It was a perfect segue, because you were saying, yeah, it's so overwhelming. How do you know where to begin? So that was actually behind this idea for the 7 pillars was, there are so many issues out there. How do you choose? Even when you look at the Sustainable Development Goals, there are so many of them. It's really hard to narrow in your focus. So what I did with the 7 pillars, I wanted to focus our efforts on lifting up women and children, women and girls around the world. Women and girls issues are woefully underfunded, amazingly. And so I really wanted to bring more awareness to the need. And so in doing some research, we discovered from the Center for High Impact Philanthropy, I believe it's called, at the University of Pennsylvania, there were these 5 central pillars that needed to be addressed, and they're intersectional, they're related. So you can't just really isolate them. They're all important. And the 5 of them were health and well-being, freedom from violence, education, economic empowerment, and equality. And so that made a lot of sense. And I loved that. But from the research I was doing and just from the communities I'm in, I felt like there were two pillars missing. And so we added two anchor pillars. And the first one is reconnecting to Mother Earth. And the focus there is on environmental sustainability, because we know that women are disproportionately impacted by any environmental degradation that's happening. And so that was a key piece of women's empowerment, we felt. The seventh pillar is called restoring the sacred. And essentially what that is just a reminder for women of their inherent worth and dignity, that what they're looking for is not outside of themselves, it's within, but they just need that reactivated. And so we think that's another key pillar. And so those work together, and the program that we're implementing through our impact circles is we will focus on each of those 7 pillars over the course of 7 months. We'll focus on what the issues are under that pillar, what solutions are being implemented in the organizations that are doing that. And the goal is that each woman, as I say, choose your pillar. So it helps to think, I can narrow my focus somewhat, trust that other members of the giving community are addressing the other pillars, and that together we are hitting all those pillars. And the truth is, when you look at what comes under these 7 pillars, almost every social challenge out there fits under one of these pillars. So whatever it is you're interested in, it's very likely that it's under one of these pillars.
Oh, that's amazing. And I love that you said, right, the trust, right, that the other things are being taken care of.
Yeah.
That it goes you can back really to pinpoint your focus, because...
And be okay with that. And, there's an amazing comfort that comes. This is the other thing, there's so much anxiety now and so much uncertainty and worry. There's an amazing comfort that comes to women when they realize that they've chosen their pillar and they're doing their part, and they don't have to be responsible for everything else. Right? I mean, we just can't be. I call it, I felt like I used to have, this is something I had to overcome. I called it the savior of the world complex.
Yes.
I got to do it. I have to do it. Nobody else is doing it. Got to be done. And when you finally realize that, no, you don't have to do it all, but there is something you're meant to do. And that goes to the inner work, which I know is really important to you. Yeah. I mean, we focus on the online course that I offer is called Impact from the Inside Out. And there are two modules that are specifically focused on the inner work, and 2 that are focused on the outer work. And then the last one is specifically for entrepreneurs who want to incorporate it into their business. But the point is, very often in philanthropy, we use our head, or in the social impact space, and very often we use our heart. But how often do we go to the depth of our soul? How often do we start asking the questions, why am I here? What is my purpose? What am I meant to do? What unique gifts and talents do I have that I'm meant to share? And if we narrow in on that, all of a sudden, it's easier to say, I'm not dealing with pillars 2 through 7 because I'm doing pillar 1, or whatever pillar it is you choose, because that's my soul's purpose. That's why I'm here.
Oh, that's so huge. That's so huge. When you were saying we don't have to do, and I'm sorry if you can hear my dogs, but
I love it.
Right, this is the new world we live in. Everybody's dogs and crying babies are in the back.
Yep, it makes it real. It's the real.
I love it. But not having to do it all, and as women, historically going through, and all the amazing changes that we've had to women's rights, and the concept that we can do anything we want, meaning, of course, that we don't have to do everything.
Yeah.
So get out of that overwhelm, and get out of that, that feeling that, we're responsible for all the parts. But also, I was just thinking, on the very microcosm level of, like, in my own life, what am I trying to fix that isn't mine to fix?
Yeah.
Or what am I trying to, what do I need to let go of, so that the things that I am here to do, I can really do?
Yeah. Focus your energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that is such a key piece of it's so interesting. I used to say, use this comment, people didn't always understand what I was saying, but I was saying being selfish will change the world. But the point of it is, it's that self-care, that soul care, that self-love that's so critical. And, we focus very much on, I ask a question, are you an overgiver?
Mm.
And how do we address that? And what's behind that, really?
Right.
We want to get to the core of that. But if you're an overgiver, let's change that, because before we launch out into the world to change the world, we want to get some of these inner things worked through, so that we're out shining our light in the best possible way we can.
Mm.
We're able to share our magnificence. And we do that better when we're not overgiving and when we're a little
Yeah.
bit more focused. And when the other piece of the inner work is working through some of the difficult emotions. We find that anger and fear are not effective emotions to take out into the world for social impact. They're absolutely very often the impetus to want to do something, and
Mhm.
they're real.
Mhm.
But when we show up angry or fearful or with anxiety, we're less effective. The energy that we're sending out into the world is not positive, and we don't need more of that. So
Right.
we want to make sure that part of that inner work is just working through whatever those negative emotions are, bringing them up, working through them to be able to be released. And not only are you more effective, you're happier, you're healthier. So
Right.
yeah,
Right. Yeah. And then you're in a space where you can provide, the best kind of support and help for others
yeah,
from that
exactly.
space, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, I just love it so much.
Good.
I'm so excited for everything that's coming for you here, and the work that you're doing. And it just, that's that idea of selfishness, versus like self awareness or self care or and piecing apart. I was actually thinking about this earlier. Uh, Another woman that I'm connected with on Facebook posed the question, like, how do you feel about, is self care selfish? Like,
Yeah.
and having that, you know, I, I, I want to say, of course not. Of course, it's not selfish. And yes, everybody should do that. But like in practice, it's a lot harder. Or like really feeling like, oh, in order to take the time to do my work and to move through my emotions or whatever I'm dealing with, or take the time part where I'm not, I don't have to take care of everything and everybody, then, doing that, even overcoming the block of like, oh yeah, I know it's not selfish, but
Yeah.
then really living it and embodying that,
It's
you know,
challenging.
it is challenging. It's a little bit different.
But it's interesting, I hear you. You're you have a job, a career, you have a family, and you have this desire to give back and create something amazing, new that the world needs. Um, and so it could be really, really easy for you to not take the time out for you, like
Yeah.
really easy. And you're right. Even if we tell ourselves we know it's not selfish, it's important, but to shift things and to shift those around us, especially if we've been living a different way. As my kids are grown now and out of the house, but I know, when you get into a way things are, people around you start to get used to you being a certain way. And that could be your immediate family, it could be your extended family, your family of origin, it could be friends.
Mm-hmm.
They start to get to know you in a certain way, and they like it that way. And
Right.
so when you start to shift things, it makes it uncomfortable for everybody. And so then, that makes it a little bit harder. So you have to be very, very grounded in why you're doing this, and the knowledge that by doing this, I will have more to give,
Right.
those around me and to the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a different way of thinking for women in general. And it's really, we're seeing that shift, and it's really, really important, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm seeing a lot. It's powerful. Um, Watching it kind of weave its way through, the different circles, and my women friends or my colleagues, and how, um, it's kind of beautiful to watch.
It is. And I think that's, we need it. It just helps to have others that are doing the same thing, so that it's not when you say, hey, I'm going to take that time to meditate, or, I want to make sure I get my Qigong in today, or whatever it is, that people aren't like looking at their watch or wondering, thinking somehow this is like playtime for you, which playtime is important too, but this is really my self-care time. I actually shifted this year. This is a huge shift for me. I was kind of headed that way, but I just made this commitment where I have I've committed to my mornings being focused on that self-care, soul care. And I've pushed back when I'm on my computer and ready to kind of start the day from a business standpoint. And, that was really hard. I mean, I can't always do it, but I in a lot of ways I can. And what it has allowed is that I don't always feel like I've got to rush through that soul care, rush through my meditation, rush through my Qigong, whatever it is. I know that my things aren't starting for another couple of hours. And so it just kind of relaxes everything. And then I know that I get a focused afternoon, solid time to really focus on partners. And it's really kind of shifted my whole approach to being, and it's that balance between being and doing that is so important.
Yes,
right.
It is.
And that, to your point of knowing what's mine to do and what's not, that comes through contemplation. That's where you hear that in that silence, in that time spent contemplating, in meditation, connecting with your soul, asking, why are we here? That's been a really interesting piece of what I've been doing, is reconnecting with my soul and saying, now, why am I here in body at all? Because there's a purpose and I'd like to get to it.
Right.
Because I don't want to do this again. Right?
Oh, I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. Oh, so good. Well, and that commitment piece, right? You have that commitment to yourself, and that really has a lot to do with combating that questionable self-worth that we kind of deal with, and that it isn't selfish to put yourself first, or not even first in some cases, but right up there with
but somewhere on the friggin' list. Just get me on the list to start with. Like, that's achievement.
Exactly.
Yeah. But you make such a good point, Renee, to say, that really at the core of it is self-worth. That pillar 7, am I inherently worth it? Not based on the roles that I play or what I achieve. Am I just inherently worth taking that time to care for myself? I remember, I think at one point I wrote down, my needs are as important as anyone else's. That was a profound shift. That was a profound shift, because most of my life, I don't think I believed that or lived that way. Really thought I had to put everyone else first. And it's beautiful in theory.
Right.
In practice, it can be really, really harmful in some cases, depending. So, yeah.
Absolutely. This is so great. I love this so much. There's so much, and Midwest Elevation, you talk about, starting things that are kind of your soul's calling. It's been just about a year since, I created this platform, and it's always, it was one of those things that just kept tapping me on the shoulder.
Like,
hey, you want to do this? I'm like, no,
yeah.
Nope, you want to do this? No, nope, you're going to do
Yes. Yes. And you listened and you did it. And that is you're pointing out exactly what happens when the soul is calling to you. I mean, that was literally your soul tapping and saying, don't forget why you're here. And what's really challenging, and I'm curious if you found that is, and when you decide to say yes, like when you kind of go, okay, I think that's it. Like, for example, for me, I've realized it is to usher in the rise of the divine feminine. Like that is, I believe, my bigger purpose.
Right.
But just because you figure it out doesn't mean the path is then laid out for you. And there it is. No, right? It's like, oh, good. Like, this is just the beginning.
Right. Yeah. It's like, okay, yes. Now
that's step one. Exactly. Exactly. And so it's really, really important, I think, for us to realize that, because otherwise we're going to turn around and go back and be like, oh, I must have made a mistake, or this couldn't be it. Right. Because otherwise it would have been easier.
Right. Right. And that's been a huge journey for me this year. And, you know, just to let all our listeners know, you know, we connected through, you know, a women's business, you know, network, and having, you know, you were saying that's one of the reasons why you have the impact circles, because the community is so huge, as being a part to what allows you to figure out what the path is and what the next steps are.
Yes.
And we so need each other.
Yes.
Because it's easy to think, oh, well, I tried this one thing and it didn't work, so that must not be it.
Yep.
You know, and then it taps you on the shoulder again. No, we're still here.
That's right. That's right. No, I think you're absolutely right. That community is critical. It helps so much to hear others' stories. That's the other thing, the vulnerability and the authenticity. This hasn't been easy for me. This is an ongoing challenge. The other thing that we know is, and a lot's going to come up. Yeah. Whatever it is that's still lurking there that needs to be healed is going to come up. I've realized that the entrepreneurial journey is really a journey of discovery, self-discovery. Yeah. Like, it's so much more than, you know, how do I make money doing this? Right. I mean, it really, so all that stuff comes up, the things that are holding you back, the inner glass ceiling that's, you know, sitting there just telling you, you can only go this far and not any farther, or, you know, whatever it is that's etched on your inner glass ceiling, it is going to absolutely show up when you step outside your comfort zone and do this.
Oh, I love that metaphor, the inner glass ceiling. Like, like what's on there? What do I need to chisel away at?
Exactly, to shatter that glass ceiling. And that's when I did that work, I was really amazed to find what was up there. And the words were, "You are not enough." And I couldn't believe it, because in my life, I thought that I was a very confident person in general. And yet there was something deep that was written there. And, you know, and then I started to shatter that glass ceiling. And then I think there's another one, you know, but but that's the point is, and whatever shows up, shatter that one too.
Right. Yeah. And it just, and then you grow and you grow again, and there's a new path, and it just keeps going.
Yeah.
Oh, this is brilliant.
It's a good path.
Yeah. Well, I'm so pleased that you joined us today. I know I want to make sure that I will get your links out to everybody. You have a couple cool things. So you have allpartners.com. That's your website. But you also nurture a Facebook group specifically for business women who want to give back.
Yeah. I mean, it's called Business Women Giving Back, but I'll tell you, I don't think everybody in there is a businesswoman. I think it's any woman that's interested in exploring how they can give back more effectively. But we do have a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of healers, you know, a lot of women doing really, really cool things. And so it's a place to come. I do a lot of lives. I do a lot of training offerings, that type of thing, so that you can just get more knowledgeable about how you can be most effective with your giving. So yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, and the effectiveness, right? Like, I mean, even that's right. The other tap on the shoulder, like, you know, how do I give? How do I do this work? And how do I allow for the work to have impact on the people that I believe need it most? And, you know, you're offering folks a path and the right next step. And
yes. Yeah. Because I think one of the other things that keeps women, holds them back from doing more or giving more, is questioning whether or not it's having that impact, questioning whether the organization that they're supporting is using their money effectively. You know, there are a lot of questions out there. And so we kind of open up those topics, things about the overhead myth, we call it, and impact measurement, and these types of terms that are really helpful to know, so that as you're looking at an organization, you have a way to determine if this is really the organization that you want to align yourself with. So that's all part of the outer work.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Well, again, yes, thank you so much for joining us here with this amazing conversation. Thank you to all the Midwest Elevation folks out there listening. Let us know in the comments what hit you in the heart the most today. And of course, if you want to reach out to Elisabeth, we will have those links down there to your website and for your Facebook community. And I'm just so excited to witness where you're going with your impact circles, and where the 7 pillars will take all the amazing women that you work with. We really all are doing that inner work to see the outer change, and I'm so grateful.
Thank you, Renee. It has been a delight, and I'm excited to watch where Midwest Elevation goes as well. I'll be with you. I'll be part of that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.